Hello, my name is Mauricio Martinez Sanchez. I am 22 years old and I study biotechnology in the UPSI. We are going to talk about the before and after of the pandemic situation in Iran. My team is formed by Hernandez Alba Azul and Sanchez Telles Julian Ramon. This global crisis affects all the countries around the world by slowing down its economy, forcing them to take up different ways never seen before. But its impact on Iran, one of the early epicenters of the outbreak, has been particularly severe, with official figures of nearly 75,000 confirmed cases and over 4,600 deaths. It is among the top 10 hardest hit countries, exacerbated by the effects of US sanctions and the Trump administration's maximum pressure campaign. The economic fallout is likely to be wide-ranging and severe, hampering the government's ability to effectively respond to the crisis. Optimistic estimates put the impact in 2020 at around 15% GDP, while others suggest it could be far worse, reaching as high as 30%. It is also likely to result in massive job losses, which, if not addressed swiftly and effectively, could lead to political and social unrest in the near future.
Impact on employment. The Iranian labor market was already suffering from high unemployment rates before the pandemic, especially among the college-educated youth. In the best case scenario, the estimated economic contraction in 2020 will put 3 or 4 million jobs at risk, potentially pushing the actual unemployment rates from around 20% now to more than 35% in just a few months. The timing could not have been worse, because Nowruz, the Persian New Year, that marks the first day of strength, is the most profitable period of the year for many of the country's small businesses, retail stores, ground and air transportation, restaurants, and hotels.
In Iran, those work in the informal economic and today wage earners, which make up nearly a quarter of the 24 million working Iranians, are likely to be the worstly affected, with no fixed salary, leading nothing, and inadequate government from formally insured and social protection schemes. These workers face to great risk of infection as they cannot afford to stop working, and are fully dependent on their daily earnings. Aware of this fact, worried that a strict quarantine measure will immediately push an additional 20% of the population into extreme poverty, which could potentially brew more social unrest. The Iran government has shied away to the imposing a strict quarantine measure that epidemiologists recommended to slow down to the rate and the virus spread. In other words, faced with a medium room trade-off between the economic and public health, the Iranian government seemed to choose the economic. However, no matter the government's policies regarding the quarantine, the 3.4 million job losses associated with a sudden and deep economic contraction in 2020 seem to inevitable. As a result, the government is claiming to offer loans to the 23 million households already receiving monthly cash transfer subsidies. Now has a journey. However, given the minuscule size of the 10 loans, less than 55 or equivalent to the monthly income needed for a family of two in Iran to remain just above the extreme poverty line. The effectiveness of such measure in reducing the economic impact of COVID-19 is highly questionable.
Given the dire state of affairs, these small gestures aren't enough about the disappointment with how the government managed both the economy and the pandemic. The COVID-19 related economic downturn in 2020 will only add to the high levels of frustration among the two tails of the labor force, university educated and workers. Moreover, with 3 consecutive years of economic contraction in 2018, 2019, and 2020, the economy of Iran has a lot of problems about how to absorb all of these graduates who already facing unemployment rates upwards of 30% even before the pandemic. Collapse resulting from COVID-19 will likely only add to the deep frustration of these two groups who don't have much to lose and have little to hope for in terms of economic aspirations.
Counterbalancing effects. Economies around the world have been severely affected by the pandemic, and Iran was not the exception. It is also impossible to ignore the central role of the USA. Sanction the recent faltering of Iran's economy and its capacity to fight the diseases. Imposing additional sanctions on Iran and pressuring the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, to reject Iran's request for an emergency loan of $5 billion are the latest moves by the Trump administration as it seeks to shock the Iranian economy at the time when the country and the world are hit hard by the pandemic.
In conclusion, anything about modern human life has survived. On the other hand, the internet, which made life easier and more accessible in this time of quarantine, with limited access to meeting between people, is helping a lot. Despite all global restrictions, Iran remains a high-consuming and reachable for foreign campaigns, for prepare the external business in the age post-COVID-19. Thanks for the attendance, and remember, we are Phoenix, we are UPSI.